All rise. Vuelve. The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'Audiència Corp Penal International, 8 over. Please be seated. Wait, was this?
Thank you very much. Court officer, please, the case.
Good morning. Yes, Mr. President. Situation in the Republic of Kenya in the case of the prosecutor versus William Samoei Ruto and Joshua Arap Sang, case reference ICC 0109-0111, and for the record, we are in open session.
Thank you. Appearances.
Good morning, Your Honours. For the prosecution, one change this morning. Alice Zago replaces Regina Weiss for today.
Good morning, Your Honours. For the victims, Arslan Arensik, James Mavira, and Charlotte Devina. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honours. Emile Aoun for the witness. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honours. Mr. Sang continues to be present and his team remains the same. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honours. For the Ruto defence team, we remain the same.
Thank you very much. And witness, welcome back to you. Mr. Kigen-Katwa will now start asking you questions in cross-examination on behalf of Mr. Sang. Mr. Kigen-Katwa, before he rises, Ms. Alexandra, I see you're on your feet.
Indeed, Your Honour, just one short matter. Is during my cross-examination, I had made reference to a particular phone analysis report, and I think Your Honours wanted to know what was that report. And for the sake of completeness and for Your Honours' understanding, I've handed a copy of the report to the court officer so that Your Honours will have a copy and you can see what the report was that I was referring to.
With the agreement of the prosecutor.
And this is with the agreement of my learned friend.
If it is with the agreement of your learned friend, that's something else. But I don't recall we said we wanted to know what it was about. Did we say that?
It was my understanding, Your Honour. I think the court wanted to know what was this report and whether or not we had a copy and if we could provide it to Your Honours.
My recollection, Your Honours, is you asked Ms. Allegranda if there was a copy of this in the bundle, and she said no, but offered to provide one. And I think Your Honours accepted that. But Your Honours, if I can help, I do intend to refer to this in re-examination in any event, so it would be just as well if Your Honours had a copy.
All right. Now, both parties have an interest in having this document in, so that's something else. The reason I say that, I do not particularly recall that we were interested in it as such, as opposed to if you made reference to it, whether we had it. So that's something else. Thank you. But if both parties want it in, so it comes in.
Thank you, Your Honours.
Mr. Kigen-Katwa.
Good morning.
Before you start, you're still talking about 2 sessions, you said?
Yes, that's my intention, Mr. President.
That is your intention. Can we also try and deal with the documents and the point? We started with a certain expediency in the past, and it's beginning to turn into a general rule. We don't want that. Do you know what I mean? The expediency of having to put in the documents afterwards through writing. That's not what we want to see as the practice. when there's necessity for that, for any reason, we can entertain it, but it's preferable to process the documents at the time of reference to them, the exhibits, I mean. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I will request to go into a private session for about 7 minutes.
A private session then.
We are in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, we went through a series of issues that we would want to exercise caution not to discuss with the result of identifying you. All my questions, however, will be based on your knowledge on all those identities. Now, related to that, could you confirm that in view of all these roles you used to play, it of necessity required you to read Kenyan newspapers?
Yes.
Could you confirm also that of necessity it required you to listen to the radio?
Yes.
May I inquire, were you listening to KAS FM radio only or many other radio stations?
It depended on the programs that I wanted to listen.
Thank you, Witness. So my understanding is that you used to listen to other stations, isn't it?
Yes.
You also used to watch TV and you were familiar with political events in Kenya, isn't it?
I used to watch TV.
Now, Mr. Witness, in your statement to the prosecution, particularly paragraph 53, you have very specifically and boldly said that KAS FM radio station belonged to one Mr. Joshua Kulei. Do you recall having said that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, I said according to my understanding, I thought it belonged to Joshua Kulei.
And you maintain the same position, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, according to my understanding, I believe that it belongs to Joshua Kulei. That is according to what I think KAS FM.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Your Honors, the statement is reference Ken-OTP-0082-0187 at page 0197.
Now, you remember my first advisory to you, Mr. Kiginkat, whether we deal with documents as we treat them. You've so far dealt with the screening note. Do you want to leave it at that? I want to avoid, as I said earlier, this offside agreement between counsel to tender documents we dealt with in court.
May I apologize, Mr. President? I had intended to be very diligent about it. I would like to produce it. Sorry about having missed out. I intend still to refer to it, but may I request that it be produced as Mr. Sang's next document in evidence.
Any objection, prosecutor?
Your Honour, well, I observe that it was not this witness who created the document. He has not signed it, but he has identified and confirmed some of the contents. So on that basis, we do not object.
Ms. Alagendra?
Your Honour, our position is that the reference, the portion of the document which my learned friend is referring to, has been read into the record. and that should be sufficient.
Ms. Zakigan Cattle wants to tender it, and the prosecution doesn't object. Document to be marked as an X in the sang exhibit.
Mr. President, could I come back to it when I'm making further reference to the document, because I still intend to make reference to it.
Well, let's put it in now.
Mr. President, the document reference as KenOTP 00860136, redacted version number 3, will be attributed reference EVD T D11 00056, and it's a confidential document.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, how frequently were you listening to CAS radio, CAS FM?
I've said it depended on the programs that I wanted to listen to. And
Witness, may I ask you the question? Were you listening to it on a daily basis, for instance?
Not daily.
How frequently in a week could you say you used to listen to it, even if it's not very accurate? On average, how many times in a week?
I can say frequently.
That would be every once in 2 days or every once in 3 days?
Maybe once a day or twice.
And may I ask you the time range? Would you say you used to listen to it from the year 2005?
Yes, probably there.
And would you put your listening to it as far as the year 2012?
Even 2014, before I came here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. Now, in your screening notes, you said you used to listen to Mr. Sang's program. Could I confirm if it was the only program you're listening to, or you used to listen to any other programs in CAS FM?
I used to listen to news. I used to listen to Heshimu Ukuta. I used to listen to music which comes along the day, and it was not only about the Sang's program.
Mr. President, the spelling of Heshimu Ukuta is H-E-S-H-I-M-U, and Ukuta is U-K-U-T-A. Isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Witness, of all that period, could you tell us, apart from Mr. Sang, if you know any other broadcasters?
I don't recall their names.
Okay, Mr. Witness. May I ask you, could you tell the court what were the timings? How frequently was CAS FM broadcasted? What days of the week was it broadcast?
Repeat the question.
CAS Lene program.
Yes.
It used to run on what days of the week?
Most days of the week we had Lene early in the morning.
Was it from Monday to Monday or on the question is really whether it was on Mondays or Tuesdays, or from Monday to Monday, or what kind, or weekends. What days of the week?
Personally, I used to listen to it in the mornings before, as I was preparing to move out. So mostly I listened to it early mornings when I was preparing to get out to job. That I will say, me personally, I used to listen to it during the week from Monday to Friday, and sometimes when I woke up early during the weekends, but mostly it was during the weekdays.
So it is your testimony, let me just be sure I understand you, that most of the times you would catch it in the morning on weekdays, but from time to time you would stumble on it over the weekends. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Now, you made some effort to explain that it was in the morning. Could you give us the time? What was the period in the morning that it used to run?
I got it before 8:30 in the morning, before 8:30, or so it could start maybe earlier than that.
Am I to understand that you don't know the time when it used to run, from what time it started up to what time it would end?
I don't recall the exact time that it started.
Now, Mr. Witness, you already testified that Mr. Sang used to host the program, isn't it?
Yes, he was the one who was hosting the program.
Now, my question is, was he the only one hosting, or did you encounter a situation where he was hosting with somebody else?
In most cases, it was him.
Thank you. I understand you said most cases, but are there occasions when you had him host it with anybody else?
No.
On the other hand, do you recall the program having been hosted by somebody else other than Mr. Sang?
I don't.
And these observations you are making is your experience of the period 2005 to 2014, as you said, being the period you used to listen to Kass FM, isn't it?
Lene Emmet used to have a lot of listeners when Mr. Sang was in studio.
Mr. Witness.
So after that, it is not quite famous. So I used to listen to Lene Emmet when Mr. Sang was in studio.
And what you're saying is that you never had anybody else host the program, and you never had Mr. Sang host the program with anybody else over the period of the year 2005 to the year 2014, isn't it?
Yeah, in person I did not.
Do you recall any program you had Mr. Sang host in the year 2013?
No.
2014?
No.
2012?
Apart from Lene Emmet, that was catching my mind so much, I don't recall any other programs.
No, my question is specifically, did you hear Mr. Sang host any program in the year 2012?
I don't remember.
Now, Mr. Witness, you said that you used to monitor Mr. Sang's program, didn't you? You recall having told the prosecution that. Your Honors, I have reference to the screening notes Ken-OTP-0086-0138, sorry, 0136 at page 0138. And Mr. Witness, I will read the words you used.
Where is, what tab, please?
I apologize, Mr. President. It is tab 8.
The same as the last one?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, this is what the investigator recorded as you having explained to him. Third.
Sorry, let us wait to see it on the screen.
I don't want you to see it, Mr. Witness. I just want to read it and then you'll confirm to us. Now, this is what he says you said. December 26, 2007, the Molo line parcels perceived to be owned by Kikuyus due to their name were attacked. And then you go on to say, prior to this, Mr. President, I'll ask to go to a private session.
Private session. Here is a note to remind everyone of the 5 seconds rule. Witness again, 5 seconds. Remember the pauses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are in open session.
Mr. Witness, you confirm that you did not give prosecution any audio you recorded about Mr. Sang's program because you didn't record, and you did not give the prosecution any notes because you did not write any notes. May I ask you, Witness, are you in a position to tell this court on a specific day in terms of the day, the month, and the year when you listened to Mr. Sang's program from start to the end, including the subject of discussion?
I remember in the year 2006, when he mentioned the name of person number 1 and person number 6. I also remember in 2007 when he was talking about Molo line and 2NK buses having ferried ballot papers to Eldoret and other parts of the country.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Witness. We will come to those two. I think you already testified on those two. Now,
Perhaps the record should reflect that the witness had to think about it. Not that there was anything inordinate about him thinking about it. It wasn't extraordinary. The reason I note it is that on the transcript, you'll see a flow that may not be accurate to what transpired in the courtroom, but that's enough. Again, That's not to say at all that the hesitation was inordinate at all. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, it is your testimony generally against Mr. Sang that he was using language that was insightful against the Kikuyus, and I'm quoting you, you used the words insightful information against Kikuyus. That's your testimony, isn't it?
Yes.
And to substantiate that, you said you recall he used two proverbs. One is in reference to milk, and the other one is in reference to rats, and the third one is in reference to a song you said he used to play, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, just for the record again, what did you say he used in terms of reference to milk?
People of milk, he used to mean the Kalenjin. And therefore, people who are in Rift Valley are the people of milk.
Could you just, for the record, say exactly how he said it? Did he say it in English?
No. In Kalenjin, he said, Piga Chego, Nenyone Temet.
Do you have a pen and paper? Please, if you can write out the phrase in Kalenjin and spell it word by word for the record, please. Thank you.
Witness, could I attempt the spelling, then you confirm?
Yes.
Pigap is B-I-K-A-P. The next word, Chego, is C-H-E-G-O. The third word, Nenyonet, is N-E-N-Y-O-N-E-T. And the last word is Emet, E-M-E-T. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, that is correct.
Now,
and on...
All right, 1 second. Witness, you go.
On the second about rats, in Kalenjin he said, Goya muriat kobagot nibo. If a rat is bad, it belongs to its house. It's like saying, if somebody is bad, so long as it's a Kalenjin, he's still ours.
All right. Can we have a spelling of that phrase?
Mr. Witness, I will attempt the spelling and then you confirm if I'm correct. Ngoya is N-G-O-Y-A. And the next word is Muriat, M-U-R-I-A-T. And the next word is Kobo, K-O-B-O. Then the next one is Kot, G-O-T. And the last word is Nebo, N-E-B-O. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes.
Now Mr. Kinkatwa, the witness explained the meaning of the last phrase or sentence. What was the first one? The Bika Chego phrase. What did that mean?
I intended to cross-examine on it, Mr. President. Probably.
You will?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Witness, the first phrase, pick up Chego, Nanyonete made, literally means people of Milik, the country is ours, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Witness, it is true that the Kalenjin people value cows very much, isn't it?
Yes.
It is also true that they value milk a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
And in consequence, they generally consider themselves to be people of cows and milk, isn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, it is also true that this is an expression that has always been there even before Mr. Sang ran the program at KSFM Lenemet, isn't it? It is an expression that pre-existed, Mr. Sang.
Yes, but this time it was used for a purpose.
It is also true, Mr. Witness, that that expression is still there even now, and even politicians use in reference to Kalenjin people, isn't it?
Yes, it depends on how they want to use it.
Now, Mr. Witness, let me give you a chance to explain what is the issue you have with the way Mr. Sang was using that expression.
At that time, people who are not Kalenjins pick up Chego were felt by the Kalenjin to be not part of them in Eldoret and areas which surrounded it. That is why those people who are not Kalenjins were perceived to be enemies.
Thank you, Mr. Witness.
Mr. Kigen Katwa, we need to put in at line 25 the words that the transcript says speaks Kalenjin. I believe the witness said used only the first two words, pick up Chego.
That is the way I heard it, Mr.
Yes, so it needs to be in there. Now we move on, please.
I trust I don't need to spell it, although I see a
No, you don't. You've already spelled the word, so the first two words of that phrase can come in. The court reporters will fix it later.
Although they have referred to it as a pickup. Now, Mr. Witness, it is true that in the Rift Valley area generally, there are people other than Kalenjins who understand Kalenjin, isn't it?
Yes, I agree. A few who are not Kalenjins may understand the language.
Now, let's talk about this other second expression about a rat, Mr. Witness. The literal meaning of that is that if a rat is bad, it belongs to the house where it is residing, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, Witness, you will confirm that that expression is used mostly in reference to a family member, that if a family member is bad, he belongs to that home, isn't it?
That is when it is used the way it's supposed.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. And you would also confirm that this is an expression that has always been in Kalenjin, even before Mr. Sang presided over the KAS FM program, Lenemet, isn't it?
Yes.
And Mr. Witness, your problem, the way you have testified, is the context in which that word was used?
Yes. This context, Goyamuriat, Kobogot Nebo, was used to campaign for ODM, especially when people were using the platform of KAS FM to campaign that they should vote from council, member of parliament, and president on the same on suit. In fact, they were using the word suit. So even those people that maybe those people who are for other parties, and they were not ODM people, even though had good policies, this phrase was used to undermine other people, especially from PNU, because it was saying that even if somebody is bad, so long as he's on the ODM and in Eldoret and most parts of Rift Valley, the Kalenjins supported ODM, then that person was good to be voted in. So from then, by use of this phrase, those people who are not Kalenjins and those people who are not supporters of PNU were perceived to be enemies.
Now, Mr. Witness, may I ask you, could you kindly confirm that as far as you are concerned, this address was meant to the whole of the Rift Valley area?
KAS FM is...
Please just answer the question.
No. KAS FM is a radio station which people were listening across Rift Valley in the country, and I believe also people who are across borders.
Thank you.
Could listen to the radio.
And you will confirm that you said that they wanted, the word I think you are looking for is three-piece suit, is it?
Yes.
And at the apex of ODM was Honorable Raila Odinga, isn't it?
Yes.
Could you confirm that he is a Luo, not a Kalenjin?
I confirm.
Could you also confirm that there are some places in Rift Valley who had representation of people who were not Kalenjins?
Yes, I'm not saying everyone who contested was a Kalenjin.
And Mr. Witness, these concerns about the use of the word milk and rat, the way you understood Mr. Sang to have been communicating, isn't it? It is your understanding of what he was trying to say.
Yes, mine and most people who listened to these phrases.
Now, Mr. Witness, I would like to move on to something else about what you said you heard Mr. Sang say in relation to ballot boxes. Do you remember a testimony on that point? Now, Mr. Witness, I would like to move on to something else about what you said you heard Mr. Sang say in relation to ballot boxes. Do you remember a testimony on that point? And I have particular reference to page 40 of the transcript of 18th November 2014. And this is what you had said, Mr. Witness. It was announced in the morning in KAS FM, Your Honor, that elections people to be cautious because elections would be rigged. It was said by people who were calling the station that the buses had transported ballot boxes to Brookside. You recall testifying to that effect, Mr. Witness?
Yes.
Now, it is your testimony that it was in a program in KAS FM. Now, I would like to play to you an audio, and I would like you, in the first instance, to confirm to me whether you recognize the voice that is being played as opposed to the content. Your Honor, I have reference to the audio of 25th December 2007, and that is in tab 12 of our bundle, and the reference is Ken-D11-0013-0281. That is the audio. May I say again the reference? Ken-D11-0013-0028.
And you say the transcript is at tab 12, you say?
Tab 12, Mr. President, sorry. Tab 12, Mr. President, sorry. Tab 12. Tab 13. Tab 13, Mr. President, sorry.
And that would be with the document reference number ending at 0568, is that it? 0568, okay.
Yes, Mr. President, the transcript. The transcript reference is Ken-D11-0014-0581. I'll take it again. D11-0014-0568.
That is what I have.
Mr. President, I would like to start with playing timestamp 12.11 to 12.16. And Mr. President, my interest is whether the witness can recognize the voice. Mr. Witness, I will play the audio and request you to confirm if you recognize the voice. That's okay?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, do you recognize that voice?
Please play it again. I didn't recognize, it was too short.
Mr. Keegan Catwell, besides the brevity of the clip, what about the fidelity of the sound You know what I mean? In terms of, I mean, we know it, depending on the recording device, say, we want to be sure that what we hear is true to the original version. I say that because you can have voice distortion, not intended. Sometimes voice distortions are intended, as the one we do with the voices of witnesses who are protected and who are testifying. But you can also have unintended voice distortion.
May I confirm, Mr. President, that to the best of my knowledge, it is exactly the audio sourced from CAS FM. It is an audio which we've played a couple of times in this court, and it's actually an exhibit, Mr. President.
Not just that you got it as source. I mean, you can say that much. But on the other hand, whoever gave it to you, anyway, I think we should keep that in mind when we ask witnesses questions about that kind of question, that is. Let's proceed.
For the record, Mr. President, may I indicate that to the best of my knowledge, the voice is exactly as it was. And that is as much as I can say.
Yeah, I think that is as much as you can say. So let's proceed. I just want us to keep that in mind. That's all.
Mr. Witness, what I will do is I will make the audio a little longer so that you said your problem is the extent of the audio, is it?
Yeah, let's play it a bit longer.
Okay, Mr. Witness.
We kon yabo ko lenjin ongnole ko kwai bi boishet pike so mangejero ko lenjin ok mutya amu ko goromit boishet ko kwai boishet ngimnatet o so mangejeret eng bishe jo negitoroy go eng pike go so me kansula ci go
At least you have enough sample, Mr. Witness. Do you recognize that voice?
If not distorted, it is like that of Joshua's son.
Let me just ask you again. So to your knowledge, this is Mr. Sang's voice, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is Mr. Sang.
Now, Mr. Witness, I will play for you another voice, starting with timestamp 21.34 to 21.47.
Karisiek chekamwa ko KAZ 178R nebo KBS number go 812 Nissan Diesel, KBA 034N nebo City Hopper.
Mr. Witness, may I ask you if you recognize that voice?
That one seems distorted.
Well, Witness, it is not distorted. It is exactly the way it was when it was broadcast. Do you recognize it?
Play it again.
Karisiek chekamwa ko KAZ 178R nebo KBS number go 812 Nissan Diesel, KBA 034N nebo City.
I feel it, Mr. Sang.
So the record can indicate that it is your testimony that the voice reading those number plates is Mr. Sang's voice, isn't it?
Yes.
Now I'll play you the second last voice and see if you can recognize it. Timestamp 1.48, sorry, timestamp 48.14 to 48.20.
Ngele betutab rani ko logoiwek chutok kakoitwech ko logoiwek chebo kwong'et neo mising kosubkei ak
Mr. Witness, do you recognize that voice?
No, but it is not Sang's.
So for this voice, you categorically say it is not Mr. Sang's. Now, I will play the last voice. I will leave that issue there, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness, may I ask you a couple of questions in respect to this voice recognition? Is it your testimony that that is the voice you had, voice number 1 and voice number 2 for Mr. Sang? That is the voice that you used to hear from the year 2005 to 2012, as you say you used to listen to Mr. Sang?
Apart from the voices, introduction was done every morning when the program starts. Nito kulene mit ko Joshua Rap Sang na mit studio. This is Lene Emmet. It's Joshua Rap Sang who is in studio. So, apart from just hearing the voice the way you are doing here, from most of the times, the name of the person who was in the studio at that time will also be done.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. So, let me understand you. You would identify Mr. Sang because he has identified himself in the station, or are you in a position to recognize his voice?
After listening to the way he speaks, to the use of language, he can use the use of idioms, the use of stories, the use of songs. In Kass FM, no one else was using as much of these kind of languages the way Mr. Sang did. So you could easily tell when you hear of a story or clips of news that actually that one was Mr. Sang speaking.
So you recognize Mr. Sang by the idioms and the stories he used to place in his broadcast?
Voice also and introduction.
Okay, Mr. Witness, I'll just be very direct with you. Your Honors, I will bring to the court after the break the exact time, the exact page locations that I have played. I do not have the pages, but I will put to the witness the propositions as a result of that. Mr. Witness, do you know a broadcaster by the name Mr. Kipyego Arap Tanui who broadcast in style of Kwamba Chepkoske?
Yes, at times I heard about the program.
Mr. President, may I spell Kipyego Arap Tanui? Kipyego is I see it has gotten the right spelling. His broadcast name, Kwamba Chepkoske, is KWOMBO. Chepkoske is CHEPKOSKE. Mr. Witness, would you be surprised that in fact the first voice belongs to this gentleman called Kipyego Arap Tanu, who has been a broadcaster and a co-host of this program for many years, as way back as the year 2006?
Then he speaks so closely to Mr. Sang.
So you're surprised?
I'm not surprised.
And would you be surprised that the voice of the second person is completely unrelated, being the voice of one Mr. Silas Tarus?
I'm not surprised about voices, because sometimes you might give a voice that you might bring voices which are very close to Mr. Sang's, and that one I'm not surprised.
And for the record, the third voice is one Timothy Chepsoi, and that's a different person, and the witness confirms that as far as he's concerned, it's not Mr. Sang's voice. The spelling of Timothy is Timothy, and Chepsoi is CHEPSOI.
Yes, that one was far from the voice of Mr. Sang.
Thank you. Now, apart from the point I was making that the first voice belongs to a completely different person who has been at the station for long, are you surprised that this Mr. Kipyego Arap Tanui on occasions would co-host the program with Mr. Sang and would himself host the program alone? Would you be surprised at that?
No, that the program was not enjoyable as it will be when Mr. Sang was on studio.
So you're saying that you sometimes go to Lene program and would find that it is not enjoyable, and it is because Mr. Sang is not the one broadcasting it?
Lene program will be very enjoyable when Mr. Sang was in studio.
Thank you. I just want you to answer my question very directly. Are there instances when you went to the station or you tuned into the station and found that it is being broadcast by somebody else and found it comparatively less entertaining than when Mr. Sang is broadcasting it?
Yes, at times I will go to the program and find it is people just calling from outside. Issues discussed are not interesting to me, so I could not enjoy it. But I really enjoyed the program when Mr. Sang was on studio.
You are Mr. Sang's fan, are you?
On use of these idioms, songs, and short stories, when used properly, I would really admire Mr. Sang.
So, Mr. Witness, let me just ask you directly at this point. So, your initial testimony that throughout the period of your listening to this station, you had Mr. Sang being the sole person broadcasting the Lene program was mistaken, because now you admit that there were instances when somebody else was hosting it, isn't it?
No, I'm saying Lene Emet was associated with Mr. Sang because Mr. Sang was mostly the host of that program. If anyone else hosted the program, that one I don't know. But if asked, I'll say I know Joshua Arap Sang to be the host of Lene Emet program in Kass FM.
I will play to you an audio.
1 second before you do. This may be caught in correction, but just in case, to avoid mistakes, line 24, quote, when used properly, I would really admire Mr. Sang, unquote, was a continuation of the witness's answer. It was not a question from Mr. Kigen Katwa. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, before I play you the next part of the audio, I put it to you that you were never listening to that program, and if you were, you would have been able to confirm that those voices I played are not Mr. Sang's voice.
I used to listen to the program, and I've told you the voices you've just brought before this court are voices which are so close to that of Mr. Sang, and I wish you would play voices of Mr. Sang and play voices of those people. You see, it will not be very far, and that is why I'm saying that I recognize those voices to be Mr. Sang's, because they were so close, if not him.
And Mr. Witness, it is your testimony that even after 6 years of listening to Mr. Sang from the year 2005 to the year 2012, you could still be mistaken on his voice because they are very close to the other ones, isn't it?
I cannot commit myself before this court to say that I listened every day from 2010 to 2012, because or 2006 to 2012, because there are instances where I did not listen. There are instances where I was in different programs. I was not able to tune to the Kass FM, but I want to confirm before this court that I listened to Kass FM, and what I've given as evidence of what I heard is about what we've spoken about.
Now, Mr. Witness, we already are aware that you were generated from location number 9, and sometimes you'd be at location number 7. Let's say you generally were in locations number 7, 8, and 9, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Not 7, but 9, 8.
Okay, that's fair enough, Mr. Witness. The question I want to ask you covers all that period, all that area. Could you tell the court what was the wavelength, what was the FM number at which you could catch Kass FM in that general area, the general area of the wider Eldoret region?
Was it? I think 89.9. So I don't remember quite well.
And Mr. Witness, you can't recall, notwithstanding that your work was actually to monitor, and I'm distinguishing between listening and monitoring.
Your Honours, the witness never said that it was his work to monitor. That's not on the record as far as I know.
We can deal with that more fully in private session if you wish to pursue it, but at line 4, witness did say 89.9, he thought. Was that what you said about the wavelength?
Yeah, I think it was 89.9.
Yes, the reason I say it is on the transcript it says 9.9. There's a lot of difference between 89.9 and 9.9. Please continue.
Now, Mr. Witness, I would like to play an audio. I would like to play for you an audio, and we will deal with both the voice and the substance of what he said. And Your Honours, that is at tab 13, the same tab 13, Ken D11 0013 0028, and the timestamp I wish to play is 28.31 to 29.32, and Your Honours, that is, I'll give the page number shortly.
All right, it's time for morning break, but before we do, what is your position, Mr. Kinkatwa? 89.9, is that the frequency?
Mr. President, it is not. It is actually 90.0.
All right. We will rise on and return in 30 minutes, but the witness will need to be ushered out first, so we go to closed session for that.